You just moved your eyes across this line. That took 6 muscles you never thought about. 6 tiny straps of tissue hauling your eyeball left to right faster than you could ever decide to. And that is 6 out of roughly 600. 600 muscles are working inside you right now. Most of them you cannot feel at all. Some are hauling bones, some are squeezing food. One has not rested since before you were born. Together they make up roughly 1/3 of everything you weigh. So here is the real question. What is every muscle in your body actually doing? Not the textbook list. The record holders. The strongest, the fastest, the smallest, the strangest, the ones you command, and the ones that flatly ignore you. By the end of this, you will not be able to move without noticing. Let's start with the thing almost nobody gets right. There is not one kind of muscle. There are 3, and they behave like 3 completely different animals. The first is skeletal muscle, the kind you flex, the kind you see in the mirror. It attaches to bone, it obeys you instantly, and it gets tired fast. Around 600 of these are stitched across your skeleton like cables on a bridge. The second is smooth muscle. You have never once controlled it, and you never will. It lines your gut, your bladder, your blood vessels, your airways. Right now it is pushing this morning's breakfast along centimetre by centimetre without asking you. The third kind exists in exactly one place in your entire body, cardiac muscle, your heart, built to never ever stop. Skeletal muscle quits when it hurts. Smooth muscle works in the dark. Cardiac muscle does something neither of them can. It refuses to be tired. 3 tissues, 3 completely different jobs. One body holding all of them at once. But before we meet the record holders, you need one piece of machinery. How a muscle moves at all, because it does not work the way you think. A muscle cannot push. Read that again. Muscle can only pull. Every push you have ever made was actually something else pulling. Inside a muscle fiber sit 2 proteins stacked in tidy rows, actin and myosin. Myosin has heads. Picture thousands of microscopic hands lying beside a rope. A nerve signal arrives. Calcium floods in, and the rope is suddenly uncovered. The hands grab, they pull, they let go, they grab again, further along. Billions of them, doing it together, thousands of times every second. That is it. That is what lifting a coffee cup actually is. Rowing. 100 billion tiny hands rowing your bones into position, and letting go costs energy. That is the part almost nobody knows. The grip does not release on its own. It needs fuel to open. So when a body dies and the fuel runs out, the hands never let go. The muscles lock solid. We even have a name for it, rigor mortis. Your muscles are not relaxed by default. They are being released every second by fuel. So which one is strongest? It depends entirely on what you mean by strong. By raw size, the winner is the gluteus maximus, the muscle you are probably sitting on. It is the biggest muscle in the human body and the reason you can stand upright at all. But for pure force relative to its size, the champion is somewhere you would never guess, your jaw. The masseter is a short, thick slab on the side of your face, and it is a monster. In 1986, at the University of Florida, a man named Richard Hoffman bit down on a measuring device. 442 kilograms of force, 975 pounds, held for about 2 seconds. Guinness still lists it. Nobody has beaten it since. That is roughly 6 times a normal human bite from a muscle the size of your palm. Clench your jaw right now. Feel that bulge in front of your ear? That is the champion. Could you hang from a rope by your teeth? Tell me in the comments, honestly. Strength is the obvious record. Speed is the one that will actually shock you. Come back to where we started. Your eyes. The muscles that aim your eyeballs are the fastest muscles you own. It is not close. A leg muscle like the soleus takes around 100 milliseconds to reach full tension. The muscles behind your eyes do it in about 7, 14 times faster than the muscle in your calf. That is the only reason reading works at all. Your eyes do not glide across a line, they jump. Little ballistic flicks called saccades. 3 or 4 every second while you read this. At their peak, they swing at hundreds of degrees per second. And here is the strange part. You are blind during every single jump. Your brain deletes the blur and stitches the still frames together for you. You have never seen your own eyes move. Try it in a mirror. You genuinely cannot. Fast is impressive. Small is where it gets ridiculous. Deep inside your ear sits the smallest skeletal muscle in your entire body. It is called the stapedius. It is a little over 1 millimetre long, shorter than a grain of rice, and it may have protected your hearing today. It anchors the stapes, the smallest bone you own, deep in your middle ear. When a sudden loud noise hits, the stapedius clamps down in a fraction of a second. It stiffens the chain of bones so less of that blast reaches your inner ear. A door slams, a siren wails, a muscle the size of a comma flinches for you. Now the other end of the scale, the most useless muscles you own. Under every hair on your body sits a microscopic muscle called the erector pili. When you get cold or scared, they yank your hairs upright. Goosebumps. In a furry animal that puffs the coat, traps warm air, and makes it look bigger. On your smooth human arm, it achieves nothing. A leftover from a hairier ancestor. Except in 2020, Harvard researchers found those little muscles are not useless after all. They form a nest that helps control the stem cells which regrow your hair. A vestigial muscle, quietly holding a second job nobody noticed for a century, which brings us to the muscles that never once asked for your opinion. Smooth muscle, no stripes, no conscious control, and almost no fatigue. It wraps your intestines in 2 layers. One runs around, one runs along. They squeeze in a slow-traveling wave called peristalsis. It is why an astronaut can swallow upside down. Gravity is not doing the work. Your food is pushed for about 30 hours without a single instruction from you. Smooth muscle also wraps every artery you have, and this is the one that matters. Tighten those rings a little and your blood pressure climbs. Relax them and it falls. You never once feel it happening. Your pupils, your bladder, your airways, the goosebump muscles, all automatic. And one more muscle runs without asking. But this one you can override. Your diaphragm, a dome of muscle under your lungs, about the size of a dinner plate. It pulls down, your chest cavity grows, and air simply falls into you. It has already done this about 20,000 times today. You can seize control right now. Hold your breath. Feel that? But hold long enough and it takes itself back. You cannot suffocate yourself by will. Now the one that never gave you the option at all. Your heart is not a simple pump. It is a knot of muscle wrung like a wet towel. Its cells are physically linked, so one electric signal sweeps through them as a single sheet. It beats around 100,000 times a day. No break, no thought. Over an average lifetime, that is roughly 2.5 billion beats. Let that sink in. 2.5 billion contractions, and not one was your idea. Close your eyes for a second. Put your hand flat on your chest. That thump under your palm started before you had a face. It has not paused since. It will keep going tonight while you sleep, and it will never ask for anything. Now let's kill a myth you have been told your entire life. You train hard. 2 days later, you cannot sit down without wincing. Someone will tell you it is lactic acid trapped in your muscles. It is not. That idea was taken apart in the 1980s, and it still will not die. Lactate is cleared out of your muscles within about an hour of stopping, but the soreness does not even begin for 8 hours and peaks a day or 2 later. The timing simply does not match. Something else entirely is going on. It is microscopic tearing. Thousands of tiny injuries inside the fibers themselves, and it comes mostly from lowering, not lifting. Walking downhill hurts more than up. That is an eccentric contraction, the muscle lengthening while it is still pulling hard. Your body then floods the area with inflammation to repair it. That swelling is the ache. So the soreness is not waste product, it is a construction site. Which leads to what everybody actually wants to know. How does a muscle get bigger? Not by growing new fibers. You were born with roughly the number you will die with. The fibers you already have simply get thicker, more protein packed into the same cables, and they are not all the same. You carry 2 main types: slow twitch fibers, small, tireless, stuffed with mitochondria, built for hours. Your soleus, holding you upright all day long, is loaded with them. Fast twitch fibers, bigger, explosive, and they burn out in seconds. A sprinter and a marathon runner are, at the cellular level, running different engines. Most of that mix is set by your genes. Training shifts it, but only so far, and when you stop training, the muscle shrinks. But something may stay behind. Muscle fibers are strange. One single fiber holds many nuclei, not one. Some research suggests those extra nuclei stay put long after the size is gone. It is still debated, but it may be why strength returns faster the second time. There is one last group, and it does something no other muscle in you does. Most muscles pull bone to bone. The muscles in your face pull on skin. That is the entire trick. It is why a human face can say anything without a word. About 20 small muscles arranging themselves into a signal another human reads instantly. And there is one smile you cannot fake. A polite smile uses the cheek muscle, pulling your mouth corners up, easy, voluntary. A real one also fires the ring of muscle around your eye. It crinkles the corners, and most people cannot contract it on command. The French neurologist Duchenne spotted it in the 1860s. We still use his name, so your face carries a built-in lie detector. And it is a muscle, 600 engines. One bites with 900 pounds. One is a millimetre long. You decide almost none of it. They decide almost all of it, and they never send a bill. You just moved your eyes across this line again. Now you know what it took.